you had something that you were going to explain to us about the property rights?
I will follow with that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Oh, well, this is a information, because as a sort of a Texas history buff, I have glossed over this point of fact for a long time, and that is that impresarios, these are contracted with the previous government, first with Spain, then with Mexico, and then impresarios contracted with the Republic of Texas to settle these lands. And they were given in the form of land grants. And so a person could, and land boards were set up. Let's see how it goes. What I'm trying to say is that the land that we are on are granted, it's under treaty, and we own it. We own it free and clear, and it's been something that has been obscured by title companies and bankers and lawyers. So there's people that know, I'm sure they know, and have their land, the proper paperwork on it to secure perfect title. Let's see how it goes. They were given head rights. First land grants back in the 1700s were huge. I read about this one guy who had 900 acres or 900 square miles in his possession. And of course later on there were much smaller grants. Impresarios, this is how they came to be who they are in Texas, is the owning the land and the resources. We must not let ourselves be separated from our land, our natural resources. No. No way in hell, excuse my French, should we allow that. And so, well, I brought them out, and some paperwork I want y'all to just hold in your hands and look at. Just a patent map. Have you ever seen one?
The land patent.
Yeah, oh, this is what one looks like. When you have a plat of your property, it's going to have an abstract number on it. It's going to have a person's name on it, the head of the family, and it's going to have, and that's the person that the land was granted to. Like on my survey, it's C.M. Loggins. This is what it looks like. Okay. And I just have only a little half acres all I own in this world, and then I did my brother's over there. But the abstract number is what you're going to need to pull this information. And I thought that we would have to go to Austin and pull the paperwork and everything. You can call right up and get it. But our records are available right here in Emory, for Emory, Rains County residents. You can go and pull those documents. They have the patents right here. Or they have certified copies of the patents at this location.
So what are you saying? I don't understand. I mean, so...
well, I'm getting there.
Oh, okay.
In other words, when land was granted to an individual at that time, there was actually a patent put on it then.
I'm saying that when the first person, the person that you see on that map, where are you, Sam?
I'm right here.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
on Main Survey.
yeah. John Lee.
This was called Wood County then.
Well, actually, at the time, the maps have changed a lot, but this area was Nacogdoches because they got smaller and smaller as the counties grew. And so the settler would come, and of course the people of Mexico, they didn't want to leave the comforts of society to settle. So it was mostly settled by Anglos and of course African Americans. They would go to the Land Board Commission, and they would be granted a certain amount of acreage. C.M. Loggins, he was granted 640 acres, and he would get a certificate. That is the true title. That shows the original grant. Then...
Is that a allodial?
Huh?
Is that the allodial title?
I guess we don't call it that in Texas. We don't do anything like anybody else does.
Okay, I'm just...
I want to show you.
Number, is that the patent number?
No, but you can pull that. let me show you the paperwork. I want to show you exactly what all this stuff looks like. And what a letter of patent looks like. It's proof of ownership under our trees.
Proof of
You can get
ownership.
this stuff out of the Texas Land Office, I'm sorry, I wrote all over it. And you can also call Isabel. And I brought the number with me if you just want to call her right straight up there and tell her what you want to pull. But you can do a land grant search. And you take you look at your plat, you get the abstract number, mine's 137, and the guy's name and the county you live in, and it's going to pull up the following information. It's going to pull up, show what district or class it was in, and that's how I found out. Oh, done. This is Nacogdoches. It's going to give you the file number. It's going to give you the original grantee, and the original grantee is on -CM logins. They don't really. They sent me out this, and I asked for a certificate, the original certificate, and they wouldn't release it. I'm going to have to go back down for it because it's not available here. You got to call or get on the website to pull this information. They sent out copies instead of the letter of patent for Matthew Cartwright, or I haven't received them yet. I pulled these from the Raines Library. I want to show you what they look like, and I want to show you what they said. It's very hard to read this. Mine's from 1841. So this is their handwritten documents. You're going to find them you're going to find your stuff probably in volume 1, the patents. And they're really nice, and I'll pull all that information for you. This is very hard to read, but it says it's signed by the governor and the commissioner of the General Land Office, and it says that, oh gosh, this is hard to read. Know all to whom these presents shall come, governor of the state, blah, blah, blah. I'm trying to get to the part to where it says. It says that it was granted to, 640 was granted into C.M. Logan's name. That's the true title to the land. And then it says that it was that Matthew Cartwright was an assignee. Because you can't really properly sell, you can't sell land in Texas. You can, it looks like you're buying it, but you're not. It is granted. That's why on your paperwork it will say grantor, grantee. It can only be granted, and it can only be granted by someone who is an assigned to that. So Matthew Cartwright became an assignee on this one, and then to the whole thing. And then subsequently, people, when they buy property, it's resurveyed and padded up and everything, they are assignees on it. However, they don't know it. And if you're going to defend a land patent, land that's patented that has been granted, has never been overturned in a court of law in Texas or in the United States, ever. And the Supreme Court put out a ruling that don't bring this to us again. This shall forever remain true, that if you have the proper paperwork, it's always going to be anything else that comes to get it because you have superior title. You own that property. What mortgage companies and the counties and cities are attaching is the real estate that is on it. And they accomplished this by changing the instruments. Instead of doing it like this, so people would just have a witness and notarize in the office, and it would pass hand. They have to give the grantors some consideration. But what they're buying is him granting the right, to be an assignee on that land. And what you have to prove it is you have to have your properly recorded documents, and then you have to have all the instruments of transfer from the time that certificate was granted, clean up to when you hold it. And if you can prove that, then you have superior title to that land, and there is nobody that can touch you on it. The only way they can take that, our property from us properly is to kill us. That's it.
What about a lien on it? Yeah, taxes unless you pay.
They put a lien on it, it's absolutely unlawful. But, you know, government will, powerful people, they'll step over the plainest limits, I mean, the very plainest limits of the law. There are no limits to tyranny except how much we will take.
Right.
We set the limit. And that's why we're calling this meeting. By God, we will set the limit. And there are plenty, and more than enough in Texas to do it. I would propose that we might band together on this to take control of our lives again, on the basis of our land rights. So that any person can easily get these documents, and then it really should be done, and it does cost some money if you have it done, by a title examiner. That's different from a title search, because the title examiner is going to look at everything that affects your claim to that. It's going to have wills in it, it's going to have the whole 9 yards, everything affecting it. And then he's going to not give an opinion. He's going to state whether or not it's in your name. I mean, that you really are the assignee, the proper assignee on that. So the person has to prove it. It's over a long period of time that there can't be a break in it. There can't be a break in it. And I know that what happens, what's so grave to me, and thinking about this, is that when the sheriff, first of all, it's not taxable. It was granted, and it is not. It is completely foul and illegal to tax the property. When you own that property, you even own the airspace, the minerals under it. They grant it to you completely. It's intangible property, and every single thing that is within your property is passed on with it and is not subject to tax. But people don't know this. We've been ignorant of this. And so we've been separated, deprived of our land. And so I feel that we need to disseminate this information very quickly to other Texans. We need to talk about it in our communities and email our friends and neighbors and let them know how to accomplish this. You can see it's not rocket science, but there are steps that go with it. You have to declare yourself as an assignee. And I would put a caveat in towards anybody who would challenge me on there, I think. There's no particular way to do it, but it should contain certain elements. In other words, when you can't just produce this because I can't, because I don't own the whole 640 acres. I only own a measly half acre is all I own. And so, of course, you're going to have to do a proper description. It has to be done in the survey language of the original survey language. Fortunately for us, Texas still describes, still does surveys in meets and bounds, so it's going to already be properly done. But you're going to have to describe where, you know, your stuff. What am I thinking of? Come, somebody help me out with it. I'm having a...
Your boundaries, perimeter?
Yeah, you're going to have to describe that. The legal description.
license.
Not like they do on a mortgage when they say, Teresa's on lot 17.
Yeah,
and
right.
they say, no.
So by meets and bounds.
By meets and
Yeah,
bounds.
what happens if the IRS comes and attaches to it?
That's why they're called liens, is because they can't just they can't take your whole, they manage to take and control it by